let's move to the last part. So basically, the question for you is, what are you gonna do now, right? So you have heard the two projects of Fabio and Simone, and also, yeah, the reason behind of using this type of sensoring to collect data on some specific environmental, let's say, parameter, right? So one of the quite important is the spread of specific disease. They are connected to specific environmental condition, name absence of the airflow or heat, humidity, and so on. So they are the conditions that basically they are basically disease like tuberculosis that I assume that you ever heard about before of this disease can easily spread. Okay, so lack of ventilation, high temperature, high humidity. These are basically the playground for this disease to spread quite quickly. Yeah. So what we decide to do, and this was also connected to somehow the COVID that was spreading with really similar condition, right, like ventilation and so on. So what we decide to do for you is to try to give you a really, let's say, difficult assignment in that sense to do in 1 hour and a half max, where you will get one picture of these favelas, and you have starting to decide where to collect data to map the environmental conditions. So basically, as I said, airflow, temperature, and humidity. And then, assuming that you make the right choice and you collect some data, it's a fictional exercise, of course, you have to start to do some intervention. And those interventions need to be sort of a really small, low-cost architectural intervention. Okay, let me tell you how to do that. The goal is basically divided in three main areas. I would say 2 plus 1. Identify where to deploy the octopus in the favelas to collect data and to understand the current environmental condition, as I said. Okay, and don't go ballistic in that sense. Let's focus on the airflow, the temperature, and the humidity. Once you have point out where are the possible 4, 5, 6 position of the sensor, you go more on the design phase of the exercise. So design of minimal airflow improvement intervention for ventilation problems in favelas. So it might include, for example, removing the floor, house portion, and other non-invasive intervention. Okay, let's think about that. Each of the interventions that we are thinking of, they have a cost. Not only a monetary cost, but also social cost. Because we are, for example, removing space for the community, we make some adaptation. These adaptations have an impact on the day-to-day life of people. Okay, so we cannot think, the best way to do it to improve the airflow from north to south, because we have a common airflow that can be helped by the wind, is removing like 10% of these houses. No, we're not talking about that. We're talking about there is a wall, there is a roof that is covered in a alley, and this alley, if we open up a ventilation, maybe space edge there, will improve significantly, and then we can discuss about what is this significantly, is 5%, 10%, the airflow in that specific position. Okay, what we would like to see, of course, since this is a fictional exercise, is about the reasoning of the contrast between cost and minimal intervention. Okay, what is the improvement versus what they are gonna losing? Reflection on health versus benefit and social acceptance. So, as we already discussed this morning, and also Fabio and Simone mentioned, the social acceptance of a intervention, whatever it is very important to be successful. Because I tell you what's gonna happen if you do it wrong, someone else the day after will cover it up again. Because this is also what happened, for example, for occupational health and safety. If the worker, they don't like it, they're gonna remove it, even if you tell them that is for their own safety, because that is how it works. Okay. we propose some of possible solution. The white solution are those two group of intervention solutions have been developed by, I think, during the workshop by Martina, the researcher in Rio. So we have in white solutions that are connected to a single household. Okay, so a small house that, for example, could have a ventilation opening, a vegetation to reduce the heat that is around the house, materials and colors of the house, light coverings, with shadowing and other intervention, and so on and so forth. Plus, in blue, we have community intervention. So basically, intervention that are connected or they are affecting multiple households. So as you can see, floor removal over an alley, air corridor between two houses, shared patio, for example. Patio, I don't know I suppose that you know what it is. A street covering, cooling tower, overall reorganization of some part. And as you can see, we are talking about expensive and more expensive intervention, right? Okay, those are some of the solutions that we would like to see to just brainstorm and think about. And what is important for today is basically we discuss together what is the best trade-off of all this intervention. Okay. This will be the picture that you have to work on. It's a really hands-on exercise. There is no right or wrong, so to speak. Well, there are some wrong for sure, but solution, let's say, you can say, I want to start to monitor here, 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 and here. And based on some data, we want to propose to reduce or to remove this part of the house or this part to improve the airflow that goes to north to south, on east to or east to west. Okay. How do we expect you to do it? Where is my slide? I think I'm missing one slide. Yes, missing one slide. Doesn't matter because there was only a slide that I was telling you to split in two groups. You are 7 right now, so I would say one group of 4 and one of 3. You have roughly, I would say, 1 hour, more or less. Now it's 2 o'clock. You can work on 1 hour until 3. So we have a bit of time to present your idea and your solution, and also to discuss a bit your solution, and also with the 3 of us, and a bit of workshop for today. Okay? Are there any questions?
I think we're working with a base image. Right?
Yes, we are working with this image. I think what we should provide to them is another screen with this intervention.
Maybe you can print them.
Hmm?
I think I can print them, the cards.
I can send you the slides.
I have them. Let me print a few.
Yeah.
And then
Okay.
Very interesting.
Do we need to produce any drawings?
You can do whatever you want. I mean, you can also build a small scale of favelas if you want, if you have 1 hour time. But you can do drawings. You can do digital drawings.
As long as it can help us to explain.
Yeah, to explain it. Yes. Basically, it would be good, for example, if you can put together a couple slides to present the work at the end. If you want to do it on a good old-fashioned way with paper based, it's also fine. There is no problem. As I said, there is not right or wrong. There is no grade at the end. So
based on those, how many solutions? Like 15 solutions or 8?
yeah, 14.
However many solutions.
Yeah.
Can we implement more than one?
You absolutely.
We can think of new ones.
Yes. Yeah. This is a sort of help that we decide to give to inspire you. This goes without saying that is not all the solutions are here. You can also think to some different solution that you want to implement. What is important is that you divide, for example, solutions that are related to only one house, so it affects one household, or solutions that are affecting multiple households. Okay.
Do we
Yes?
have an aerial image of the, or just
You have this one.
only
Only this.
So everything, like all the things we have,
It's just this.
That's crazy.
Because the reality is that you can have lighter, but you have 1 hour. So there is no point to give you more than that.
Yeah. In terms like if we're specifically thinking about this in relation to tuberculosis, what's kind of the like we want it to be drier or cooler, or what are kind of the constraints that are
Well, based on the fact that let's say those diseases are connected to poor airflow, so basically low airflow, high temperature and high humidity. What you want to achieve is to reduce the last two and improve the third one, the first one. So your final goal, and actually this is quite complicated, but this is what you should achieve, is to have a higher airflow that can facilitate the removal of some pathogen in the airs, reduce the temperature, so to speak, and reduce the humidity. Well, the humidity is a bit more complicated, I have to admit, because you have basically a lower and a higher, let's say, boundaries that you want to work with, because having also 0% humidity is not very good. But let's say that we are at the moment in the higher side, and we want to go somewhere in the buffer that is a comfort zone.
Can you send it to me?
I will.
I everything written in Portuguese.
Don't worry, I'll do it.
How are you dividing teams?
Oh, those three, those four, and those three.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's for 1 hour enough. You don't have to marry each other, so I think it's there is no relation involved.
Do you have the?
Let me stop sharing for just 1
I
second.
think we need paper.
I have on my laptop too.
No.
You have to
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
rapid fire.
I think that's basically where.
Yeah, it's not a marathon. It's a sprint. So you have 1 hour, so you don't
So I can
worry too much.
from the
I think
yeah,
it's
that would be great.
Smart.
I didn't understand this.
Wait, so
You're the
we
intervention.
can't even examine if we
Is there a
pick the
difference
right
between the
place.
white and the blue?
These ones are like.
The
for
place that you have to pick,
individual
I will go back,
These are
is the
like-
picture that you give.
It's
That
community-
is
this
the
like individual
area
intervention.
that we want to improve. Imagine that in that area we have really poor ventilation, high temperature and high
That's why
humidity.
we see
And we want to
small
act on those three
versus large
parameters.
number.
Those solutions should involve some of the solution that I show, and that's it.
I think this is just like
Okay?
choosing number 12 intervention.
when you said like increasing cost as well.
Oh. Yeah, and also like the time to get like community input, since he said it took like months to get like the fighter detector.
Do I need it to switch?
Identify where to put the Octopus device to collect data, to understand current environmental conditions, to design minimal airflow improvement interventions for ventilation problems, and then that's it. And then focus on design for social
Yeah, it's very
costs
abstract.
and minimal intervention.
But
Provide a
we think about how to,
versus social costs.
with the time that we have,
What are the
it's really difficult to if you give you too much data, you will be just focusing on the data.
prioritize? Is it like common pathways or areas where it looks like there could be like a congregation space?
I feel like should we list out like high airflow and then high low where those might be, and then humidity high low where those might be, and then temperature high low where those might be, and then see if there's overlapping. Because like if there's overlapping, then those are the spots that are most efficient. Do you want?
Yeah, I'm just because we also like talked about 3 outcomes. He mentioned the higher airflow to remove pathogens, reduce heat, and reduce humidity.
Yeah.
But they're saying to deploy the Octopus device, so it's only one device. Okay.
I feel like it seems so low cost. Like
Like if you.
Okay.
You can place it everywhere.
I want one, like just for fun. They should make it into a lamp.
Make it more dense.
But like the system.
So What should I
It's
buy?
coming, huh?
See if it was a security camera.
Like
See why
pizzas that you're moving around.
people won't want one for themselves at the restaurants.
I just for these seem very abstract a
At
bit.
least to like the
Well, no, I think what we're gonna do first is like if you can do like a grid, and it's like high humidity, low humidity, high heat, low heat. And
You find
Because
out.
you're gonna have to make a lot of
Well, that's a lot of
Oh, that's a lot of them.
Thank you to get these assumptions right.
Oh.
Yeah,
Then
what?
we take this course of action.
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah, you can. Let's see if you can. Oh no, this is stuck. No, you cannot move it.
we can divide it into what?
I can give you some space here, maybe.
Maybe like take this on the iPad or something.
Yeah.
If you have an iPad.
Do you guys want to like intuitively draw?
So I would think humidity would be, at least for the high ones, would be the alleyways because they might pour like whatever like sewage stuff in there, and then bathrooms.
Because I have a mixer,
Are kitchens
I turn off the sound
Ah, I see.
on my end.
Okay. Okay.
There's no-
Yeah, you're not
Oh,
first.
we should also do. We should also do like public spaces and private spaces.
So maybe you can take a notes about those.
3 steps.
Yeah.
Kevin's
Do
in.
it.
Yeah.
Oh, you take a
Do
picture, yeah.
little design.
Oh yeah.
Otherwise, you
This
can
is
show me
what I
how to
see in
split,
the-
to split the screen. I will do it. But still, I
I think
didn't,
it's more like identifying the materials.
I didn't find a way to
and
do
the
it.
floors and then the spaces in between buildings.
But I thought we're pinpointing
Oh.
places on the actual like
For
in
real?
in the actual photo.
Yeah, I
I
thought
think.
the
that's
actual
what
folder,
we were
yeah,
doing.
yeah.
Oh, whoa.
I will come back to that. Just take a note of those 3. If you
Oh,
remember
because-
them by your heart, it's good. And then I'll go back to the photo. And Simone is coming back with a solution on paper.
Mhm.
Unless you know how to
I
split
think-
this grid.
Also, there'd probably be
Wait a second.
higher temperature
How can we split this grid?
metal houses.
Oh.
How can I
And,
show
like,
on the screen 2
darker
things?
color
Still,
houses.
I didn't get it. So.
Probably should do public and private. Ugh, damn it.
Okay.
Damn it.
So this is the picture.
I guess we mostly focus on high then.
Also, I don't know if this is like accurate.
No
If this is
shade.
showing northwest, north and southwest.
Like
But,
times
like-
of day.
But like the windows that are facing like
Mhm.
where the
Oh,
sunrise
yeah.
is, maybe like that could probably be solved with like vegetation or something.
Definitely also like the colors
Yeah.
like of the bricks have an effect. Like you see some white which reflects.
Even if you think that this exercise is a bit abstract, that definitely is, but it's not that far from what you will be asked to do, for example, in this situation. If you get a assignment, say improve the ventilation, because this specific area, and not only here, has poor ventilation condition, there are a lot of high temperature, a lot of humidity, you need to start from somewhere. And unfortunately, that's also what we said also in this morning, especially in humanitarian job, is not a really fine science in that sense. So you need to start from somewhere.
Are we supposed to put like some baseline like sensors that just capture the right like the average?
That's such a really good idea.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Probably a good idea because when they were talking about earlier that they know trouble spots, I think it's good to have something to compare with and look at non-trouble spots because you might also find something.
Do you guys see how there's one like the right side of things has a little bit more greenery on it? Like it's on like the right side of buildings. Then maybe that could kind of track the sun,
So, yeah.
and also that like in those spaces with the greener probably be the highest points of
Yeah.
humidity.
I don't know if the markings on the wall, like that white brick building that has black marks,
Yeah.
is indicative of humidity issues or like water seeping.
Or the lower at the top.
The lower left,
Yeah,
white.
yeah, I was thinking that. Because I wonder what the blue things are on top of some of these buildings.
I think they're
Tar?
water tanks.
Water tanks?
Oh. Because they probably don't have regular.
It sounds like, from what you were saying about like the barbecue floor or something, that those could also be like communal.
What are the barbecue ones?
Yeah, but I guess it's pretty.
Like
it's
the
gonna,
top floor.
It's gonna be good ventilation up there.
Yeah, actually you can do like an air tower.
Because there's one building above the tree, like a little north of the tree. It's like, it doesn't seem to have walls, it just seems to have like
Which
these
one?
pillars. It's like the building above the big tree.
Oh.
It doesn't seem to have walls, it just seems to have a roof.
Yeah.
Whenever you have questions, just ask it.
No, we're just trying to make sense of
Of the picture.
the barbecue floor. Is that the top?
The rooftop.
Okay.
Because it's so hot, it feels like you
Like this one.
barbecued, or-
No, is it because this is where people hang out to
Oh.
have barbecues? Is that what they?
It's a pity that they cannot do it.
I
Yeah.
thought you were literally.
Well, are you asking me how to do it, or you?
No, but like, is it like a social
It's a
gathering
It's
place?
a social, yeah, indeed.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
An approach. But first, start thinking where do you want to monitor, and consider that it's not a deterministic problem, but it's more a probabilistic problem. So you need to pick up some points, and then you have to make sense of the data that you get. And second of all, it would be good when also we provide you with the possible interventions to think a priority list. We said first we will go with this, for example, opening only the cover of an alley, and maybe the barbecue terrace barbecue floor will be our last one, because it's a social point and we don't want destroy to this point to the community.
one way to do this.
Just remember that this one, remember the division between single household and more, let's say multiple household together.
So the goal is to, so they know it's an issue, or do they?
They know that we know that it's an issue. We know that this is a given data. Okay, so we have high temperature, low flow, airflow, and high humidity. That is a given data. Now the question is, we want to know where exactly, and that comes the first part of the problem. So where do we want to put the octopus? Where do you want to place the octopus to monitor, capture some data? And then the second part is that, okay, based on that, which type of intervention can I do?
So maybe like for the sensors where we place them, it would make sense like to, given that we see like three main types of colors for the building, like a material like bricks, walls, and like the black. Like, do we want to consider the placement of the sensors to consider that variability? Because I'm sure it does have an impact, like the plain brick versus the white that reflects versus the black that might absorb more. And there's like green areas as well. Usually in the green areas, what you'd expect to see is like better air quality.
Yeah.
So do they
I
all
think-
have to be on the same street to control for like, they're under the similar sunlight conditions?
It's more, it could be that, or it could be we select the variability of the buildings, like I think you can see places where like those are main public areas. That middle
Yeah,
part.
that middle part seems to be like a big street with the trees lining it.
And also that top part too. I think there's another.
Okay, so
Yeah.
definitely one on that street.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe one on each street.
Like-
What those two main streets.
Okay, so like, so this street and this street, right?
Yeah. I think we could also put one on the right side.
There is one going. I think that
Here?
small alleyway. No.
Oh, like here.
Yeah, I think in the alleys, and then there's to the left of the tree, there's like a little central place that looks like
Yeah.
that could be
Yeah.
like a
Like
courtyard.
Here?
Yeah.
I think
Okay,
it's more like
here.
yeah.
I
And
also
we
think
put them
that.
there for,
No rush.
just to measure public space.
Okay.
Yeah.
Vibes.
Yeah, like
Okay.
because those are gonna be the spaces that most people are
Okay.
moving to. And then I'm also thinking that I feel like if you're concerned about heat, like those like cement brick buildings really heat up, and so it might be helpful to have some on the inside, and there could be useful like, you know, if we have a white building versus a red brick versus some other color, like how does that affect the heat like internal to the building?
Dissipation. Yeah.
Very good.
Uh,
Okay, want to discuss?
it's not like really
It's not about strategy. Yeah.
Damn, this sucks. I think if I sit here, it works. Yeah.
So I was looking at
On the bottom
the places
it seems
with
that
the
there's like a building.
octopus.
I don't see
I
there's like a white roof.
based on the image, I marked the
So maybe-
kind of the
maybe on
probably
one
the
of these
major
streets
wind
we pick a
corridor
brick building
in
and
this neighborhood. So I think the main
Does it have to-
idea here is I want to measure. Yeah.
So you
No,
were thinking
so we have a different
that's the
similar
building and the
analysis.
hierarchy of
Yeah.
like
So I think
the type
the
the typology basically.
octopus
would
under the
be
tree canopy will
place,
measure like
street, alley.
I guess the coolest
'Cause I mean,
temperature
because we're
under
planning to
shade.
to
And
get
then
something on these
there will be a
streets anyways.
comparison
Oh, yeah.
octopus
So then we
in the
either-
same
we
wind
just
corridor,
control
but it's
for
more in the
like,
less
you were saying
canopy
external
area.
temperature, right?
And
So,
then
like,
I also
if
want
they're
to
all facing
measure
this way, then we
the
just pick three
wind
houses all facing this
or
way.
like airflow in
Transversally.
From
yeah in other
buildings that have the criteria, like
corridors
red,
and
white,
also
and then
within the
take
clusters
maybe
like
a
in
brick
those
one, a white
alleys.
one, and then something else.
So
And then
the main corridors are
But I'm excited to see.
this is like going upwards, right?
I
The
don't
way I
Yeah.
see it is like
I mean we have unlimited.
wait.
I think
Sorry.
We could do that.
Yeah.
Like you're identifying like
I
one,
think
two,
we should
three, and so
also
did I.
just-
Yeah.
I would be
To me,
curious
it's
'cause
like
there's
The main
one,
let's say the trees are
two,
here.
three.
Yeah.
And these are like the corners.
Yeah.
You see
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
And I don't truly see the transversal, but I think
I
that
feel
that's what we
inside
should
meaning
aim
within
to
the
create.
building or like within
Yeah.
Like-
the
Uh-huh. I
That's
feel
true.
like if you see there's like electric poles like
There
here.
might be like street.
Yeah, I think there's some street if you
I think
like
those are
there's
like more narrow.
I
Yeah.
think it may be the perspective that there's
Yeah, I think so too.
But actually, we are not sure if they are at the same level, right?
I guess they're
So
there.
probably we need to.
True.
That is the thing we need to examine, like if there's really some
It seems-
clear street here, or actually it is the next level.
I try to do a cross section. You try to do a cross section too.
Probably better airflow.
Yeah,
Whereas like
On the right.
doesn't really
it
show
seems
much.
lower,
It's
lower
like
level.
it's
On
going
the right, the lower
up.
right.
and we might have like 2 or 3 stories
Since
high.
we're gonna look at air
So,
pathogens,
the ones that
urban
would be
heat and
fine.
humidity,
So there's
I
like
think,
I
like-
try to that's a very random drawing, but
so urban
cool.
heat,
That's amazing.
it makes
Um,
sense that we put
There's like
octopus in
the
an
2 layers, so
area
you
where
can
there's
have like
greenery, because that
this,
is indicative
this,
of reducing
and
urban
this,
heat, and
even
then
when
as
there's,
you
like,
mentioned, it
behind.
could be to control for it, we can
and I
have
kind of
like
wanna
in other
treat
places
the
in
wind
that
blow this way, not really
alleyway
upwards, but
or
like
main
just
street,
like in open both directions.
if you can
And I was thinking
call it
about,
like
like,
that.
Having
Wait,
these
sorry, can you
walls,
repeat that?
like
So,
on
like,
these sides,
We know
have a
the
certain
greenery
treatment
reduces
on the
humidity
facade of
and
these sides
temperature.
that can
So
prioritize,
we put a
um,
sensor around it,
like
just
when,
to like see how low we could
airport,
have,
because
because
as a strategy,
let's
we
say
have like the
one
side
of
walls
the
with
solutions
like openings such
is
as this.
vegetation repositioning.
Uh,
Then
go,
if
go,
we
go,
put one
which
near
sense
vegetation
hollowed,
and another
hollowed out building
not far but on the
east
same street, and we notice
towards
that
wall
with vegetation
perpendicular.
you have much lower temperature,
So
then
it
you
can
can
be like
make
the
the
hollow of
argument to
this
have
or
more vegetation.
the classic
Do they need to be? They don't need to be the same material.
There's some division.
You mean the
Yeah.
brick stuff?
Yeah.
That's
Just
something
I think
that
that's
could be an
interesting
addition.
design choice,
Actually,
like where
because
you put them.
this you can do the
In my
vegetation,
opinion,
but
like,
maybe on
put
this
it-
street there's no
of
vegetation,
course
so
not
that's where you
everywhere,
put the
but
I don't see
like
much
bricks.
more
the strategic
vegetation on the
points,
street.
and
Like,
maybe
the
like on
street
these
is
sides
much
rather than
straighter.
Yeah.
on
The
the
street's
sides. Maybe like the orientation
Yeah.
of where it is
Uh-huh.
put down this side.
The,
I like
the
that.
airflow you want to create, is it this direction or this? I think I
The orange one. I
Oh,
thought
the
this
orange
was
one
the
is-
blue one
oh.
and two.
Like,
So
the blue one is the main street.
Right.
Or some
Mm-hmm.
more small.
So-
the wider streets. Imagine how
So the blue ones are also.
To me, it
So
already
why is
cuts
it-
like
Exactly.
this.
Because you can imagine the roofs, right?
Unless
Yeah.
like
They can
unless you
destroy a lot of things around.
It must have been there
Must be forever.
before,
Yeah,
I think it's more like I
Yeah.
imagine
or I don't know.
the
Yeah.
Yeah.
blue is the thing already
well,
exists.
it's also true that the climate over there it's quite in favor of
Vegetation.
vegetation, right? Because it's a kind of subtropical climate, so high humidity, a lot of rain, a lot of sun.
Introducing more like
But
vegetation
let's say
where it matters.
multiply the type of trees all over this picture. It's a bit a long shot.
That's
So
I'm just.
no, go ahead.
I'm suddenly just thinking.
Necessary, like analyze each cluster. Like
maybe it's important to like reduce
Oh,
the
it's fine.
level.
I'm suddenly
I don't know.
thinking.
What do you guys think?
And I'm thinking,
So this is more like
and I'm
to
thinking
figure out priorities.
like in the
'Cause, like,
middle of the
yeah, 'cause
cluster, it's
basi-
probably
what they
the
said was,
most
like, we know
humid
it's
or like the
we know
less
these are
ventilated,
different.
the
So
less
we don't
ventilated
necessarily
and
convince
the
people,
hottest
you need to
because
change,
everything is
you know, the
short.
brick one's hotter
And then
than the
maybe
white
it's
one,
in
you need to change
every
material.
cluster
It's
middle
like-
we can
it seems
create
like
a
a
cooling tower
given. So it seems like for
that
the sensors, it's
takes
just
less
identifying
spaces
which areas
and
need
ventilates.
help first.
Have they asked?
Yeah, I
how
mean, I
many
don't know to what
octopi-
extent they are.
Actually, yeah, they didn't. So probably it's also a thing we can decide.
I like your idea of putting one.
Like looking
So,
at the,
like we have the main corridor, like two situations.
I mean,
Canopy and the non-canopy.
Because
And
I
then
do
we
think
have
like now we're like
the
super
cluster,
minuscule, like
the
say
center
the street,
being
like different. Because we're
the
almost trying
most
to make a
humid,
case
less
to the
ventilated,
residents to be like,
and maybe
see, it
what
makes,
is this?
like there is
Like
a
the street.
difference, so that's why these
Meaning-
interventions are.
so
required.
let's
a little bit more ventilated with
alleyways
this.
is one category.
So those four can work.
Because right
And
now we're
I
just
understand
focusing
these are
on
like the same logic as
Yeah.
this.
I'm thinking about probably we can clear up a little bit around this tree because I think if this neighborhood has a center where people like visually can know here is the center and there's already a tree and it can create safety and also have like they can have a clear like plaza and then to
Yeah.
just like where people can gather and have more fresh air here and so and I think the logic of this street is more like the part I draw here and which is the street without covering and these are like more like this so probably there's a
And
hidden
between tabs,
yeah. So these are the
What's
I
the line
imagine
frame
here
for this
is the
one?
more
In terms of-
hidden and more narrow
So we place this.
Actually, now you have less. You have 33 minutes.
path.
If we place this.
I don't
In
think
that
so.
case, would you
How
like
long are we placing these
delete this
sensors for?
roof to be able to like ventilate this?
Like over.
Yeah, so that is
areas
Sort of like your
of-
tower that you were mentioning.
but the thing you mentioned is more like to put something in it too. Is it like
I think at
Because
least it creates a path
duct.
for the
Something that we don't want to open that one can today. It's about that usually natural ventilation conditions they change
Yeah.
over seasons, and that's making it everything more complicated, right? Especially if you, as you can, we can understand a bit that from this photo, there's a kind of hill, and we could also start thinking and assuming that there will be probably some natural ventilation.
Probably
Usually.
like
that in some condition could be from the top to the bottom of the.
inside each cluster, it can
But
be one strategy. and
that is
for
something that the sensor will help
for
understand.
tree, it can be another
Well,
strategy. So we
the
can
sun
have a
and
different
shadows
strategy
change throughout
Exactly.
the
for
year, so it's not gonna
different
be.
part of the
It's not going to be the same.
Yeah. So if we take the average, or we take the. And how many solutions can we choose?
That is up to us. That's no problem.
So the sensors.
That's no problem. Let's say that if you want, we are talking about community. We're talking about family, right? If we go there and say, we'll start destroying wall, putting in trees, and change basically the shape of the house, they might not be very much in favor of it. Usually, what makes sense is to propose a couple of solutions and go step by step to see, because it's like in science, right? If you change too many parameters and variables at once, then you change all the results and you don't understand exactly what is working and what's not. So a good approach might be to introduce 1, 2 at the beginning, to see if we, for example, 1, 2 in a house and a couple of for the community, and to see how the situation is improving, or maybe even we are doing something wrong and we are making worse.
Yeah, I mean, a big blind spot for us is I don't know if you've been to Favela, but we haven't. And like for me, it's like, is there a common area in the favela where people just hang out, like a courtyard type?
There are.
Yeah.
Well, from this picture you cannot really find it.
Well, we may be like that in the bottom, but I just want, like, in a favela, it's so different to what we're used to in the regular
It's an informal settlement, so this is clearly different from what we are used to.
So like I can't, like you have to be there to walk and actually
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. No, but as I said, don't worry about too much about that.
But like
Anyhow,
yeah.
social community place or not, the assignment might be we want to improve the public health condition here. And of course, if you take out one of their common space, they might not be happy for sure. So maybe not be the first step that you want to.
Yeah. So like that, yeah.
So let's decide where this becomes.
So I think, like you said, one on a street that has more, that seems to get more sunlight than another area,
Yeah,
and then
inside this alleyway
Right.
definitely gets less sunlight.
right, okay. And then another one, I'm thinking it seems like the ones here are taller, like you guys said. So definitely one in the taller area, somewhere embedded within that neighborhood. One there, and then one in the relatively like lower cluster, and then also within those clusters, have one near clusters of material, like buildings of the same material. Like within that tall area, we put one around like a cluster of brick buildings and another next to a cluster of wooden buildings.
Yeah.
But I guess they all have to be around the same height, or like in a common area, cause like what if you're putting one next to a sewer and like another one
I
next to a
think
tree?
to the right, the black buildings, they seem to be made of the same materials-ish,
Yeah.
in the same colors, so we can do that,
Okay.
something like that.
So like here, yeah, I feel like the black one and the brick one next to each other.
Yeah, that makes sense, cause
And then just one in general in the whole area, trying to counteract everything, like a more neutral spot.
Discussion about either patios or roofs as
Well, I think it's just
architectural elements.
Just like
I wish it was like a receiver situation.
yeah. I mean, I think it's more like if you divide this even into
Because look, there's like vegetation
quadrants,
reposition.
then you have the same amount of sensor, limited amount of
I think the question I have is if
if
we put trees, is it better to put on corridor, which might decrease the ventilation?
Right.
Like if you think of trees moving through, it's already packed, and if we the corridor,
Want to be more
everything,
packed.
Yeah.
yeah,
Or
then
have vegetate like like green roofs.
yeah.
more
Rather.
out there, and I'm saying like for instance,
Yeah.
in solution,
We can have green
like,
roofs.
let's say you have a courtyard.
Yeah, but so
and
it means that we need to
Delete all the
tear down the rooftop
the
addition.
light. Yeah.
So
The barbecue.
Oh, I'm like thinking
Or
more
is There's the
Oh yeah, but like that's
Oh,
the
okay.
original
Yeah.
the wall
yeah.
greens.
Oh,
Yeah,
So
the
it seems like, I
fiber.
feel like, okay, so for
Okay.
this, for this section, we'll put,
So it's like
cause this seems to be like a main small alley, so
greenery
we'll put in the middle.
in the corner,
Like, or
greenery
like-
in the roofs,
yeah,
or
'cause it's really
greenery on the walls.
Neutrally, maybe like the, right next to, like courtyard, but then in between, like at the
Maybe
mouth
we
of
can
the
have,
courtyard, so we don't get the
Openings on this side and
the coolness of the courtyard.
and then like the chimney here, the wind chimney.
I don't know, I can't even tell.
Let's just
the
Because I
material.
think wasn't the street
We
was
got it,
like
guys.
the middle one was like this, and the courtyard is right here. There's
wait,
a tree right here.
Are we talking about, are we talking about this one?
I think that connects.
Oh, so like here and here?
I feel like
I
Yeah.
think that's just one like it kind of like that,
Like this?
so honest, like that. Like there's a courtyard and it
I think
connects to the.
something you
Yeah.
Can you draw the courtyard? Like there's a courtyard
Uh-huh.
and
It's like
then
the air.
tree.
You know what I mean? Like,
If the temperature cools down, then you can condense
I think
okay,
this
okay,
is
okay,
being
okay.
blocked by
water
that.
in the air.
green
and if you
roof.
cool
Okay,
it,
okay, okay, okay.
then you extract it.
I was thinking about like in
There's definitely
like,
two
Lima,
main
they collect
ones, like the
since
one
it's-
on the.
It's technically a W.
Because I don't think this goes directly diagonally.
Yet it's very huge.
Okay, so I guess we move this one to around here. Where it's like where the taller buildings
It
are.
would
So
be
they do
interesting
with,
to see the
um,
difference between up
I'm
here
not
since
saying
it seems to
that.
get
Can you-
more
can you move
narrow
over?
compared to down here.
Oh, right here. With like
But okay, so the
That's-
priority for us is focusing on like most
It looks like
publicly
this.
used areas, like busy
Not
areas,
because
because that's if we want to like know
yeah, to wa-
if
to
the
water,
idea
like,
is to have the
local
most
gardening
positive
purposes.
impact, it would be where
Um,
people use the
It
most.
kind of looks like just.
But I
a
think
I
like
think we should do a
even by
mix.
the
Like a
proximity of the
random,
space, because it's high temp and
net
high
in the
humidity and high
landscape.
airflow, it's just breeding
And
ground. It doesn't have to be like
since
people
it's
in
like
contact with
90%
each other.
Yeah.
Anything. It's just
Water.
because
I wonder how
like
does
it's so
it function?
stuffy or whatever there. It's like
We have 5 minutes. Do you think you need a bit more time?
Okay, 7 minutes. 7 minutes.
Pardon?
No, 7 minutes.
7 minutes. Oh, that's okay.
what are we adding on here? Like in the alleyway. But I don't really
We
have
have
an
one.
argument
We have
for
one
it.
in the alleyway.
Oh, is that the alleyway?
Yes,
Oh,
this-
that's not
this
the
is the
tree. Oh,
alleyway.
this is the tree. This,
This is
okay,
the
got
tree.
it.
This is the alleyway.
Got it.
So maybe we should just like use the time that we have to explain the rationale for
Yeah.
each. Okay, so let's do that.
So we
So-
have at least one on each alleyway or main road for baseline measurements.
Okay, guys, I need to scan the drawings.
And then we have common area 1, 2. And I mean, I guess we could say we would also want to put in common areas to understand the conditions that people are living in.
And also, there's probably not as much airflow. There's turbulence
Mhm.
happening here.
Wait,
So
I think I need
this kind of
2
comes from
versions of
around
this
here.
drawing.
Mhm.
Two versions.
One
And then
yours,
so-
one where we saw it like this.
I don't really
So
know why
how
we
many
have
are we
two.
putting?
We have
in each?
2 because there's
And
going to be a
somehow
different.
express
There's
the-
going again
the
be
facade
turbulence
conditions
because
of
of
like
what he
green
showed us,
outside
going from a larger to a
And,
smaller, or smaller to a larger.
I will use the plain napkin. But our green is right here.
Yeah.
And
Like
then
squiggles.
this is to check for shade as well. And then this one
And
is
that
to,
everywhere. Yeah, that'll
we'll
take
try to
you
get
a
this
minute.
person or whoever in that
Got this,
area
got this.
to let us do it, to put one in the upper level and one in the ground level to see if there's a temperature difference. And then this is mainly to understand the difference of the roof conditions.
Yeah.
Like, cause this one, for the upper floor, like we might ask them to do the same thing, upper floor and lower floor. I don't know, maybe upper floor. Oh, let's just do the whole thing. Because this one's a white top and this one's a black top.
Okay.
But I feel like, and then we can just say this is like kind of the rationale of it, and then you just multiply it. Because like you can't really deduce much from these answers.
We'll explain that verbally.
Are we putting any like individual sensors in like homes or just mostly public
These
areas?
two.
Which ones are they here? 'Cause,
Oh, you already replaced it. So like one of the black top ones here,
okay.
and then like one that's around here, like right next to this horizontal thing.
Okay. Are those? But these are not like inside homes anyway. These are all public spaces.
These ones are within homes.
Now that we have that, so since we're including.
And then everything else
Let's
is
not be like wars, let's not be the room in the center, and the room on the side. Can we like particularly draw like these creeping?
I mean, I can.
That would need a few more.
like these two.
So just like include the three strategies in one drawing.
Just like they are not necessarily hand in hand. They could be,
So
but not.
some of the solutions.
Because you can have like
is-
high temperature low humidity and high temperature high humidity regions. And there's like different strategies for
That's
that.
why we use sensor.
Yeah.
ventilation.
Like usually low temperature regions are also low humidity, but high temperature regions are usually higher humidity.
Well, we have
High temperature has higher capacity.
Yeah, this is like in the individual.
Yeah.
So it has.
But I
So
guess
if we
I'm not
decrease the
thinking whether
temperature,
it's, and I kind of want to put
it will
these
lower
because
the
this seems to be like one
the
like
temperature test exam.
yeah.
This try.
Oh, this try, yeah.
I'm halfway through the exam.
Oh, you're taking it, the US.
Well, this is more.
Or architecture license, but yeah. I thought that you
Add another one here for outside or just use this one?
oh, before I come. So you're not continuing.
Oh, like so. Do you think this
If you
is
still work in the, if they
the one that
give me
costs
money
labor?
to take it.
That's good anyway.
Oh, but wait a minute. Would you have to take studies, like architecture studies here?
I think it took us a while to
Yeah.
get.
No, but like
I didn't
think like
Oh, okay.
with the extra hour pyramids, like actually like do the drawing.
To be a licensed.
Do you have a
I have a license.
Yeah, you can make this look like a hackathon.
Okay, sorry.
responsibility? I think you need to take the time to get that, or you just graduate.
No, but
Section is like
there's to do a thesis project.
in between these two streets.
They're so big. Yeah.
It's like all flat top. The same.
Yeah.
Lights.
It's very big.
Licensing
It
project.
seems to be all connected.
Yeah.
And then you have to.
So maybe they should have a shared patio.
With the
No,
school
it's just
of,
like one
with the school of, the board of, or the college of
I
art.
mean, I think they're connected, but they're probably,
Yeah.
you know,
I
like
feel so
different people
there's
inhabit
like,
it.
you can't tell there's no
Section.
That's.
And then that's
They're
what
going back to back.
I mean, I feel like
there's like a lot of steps, like extra steps.
images.
Like things like 5 exams.
Exams and also you need
Yeah.
I think it's like
Spice up part of their culture.
and the end card.
Oh,
And then it gives
Yeah.
like different categories, so you have to like.
Ready to present?
Construction.
oh wow. How do you think we were like construction?
It's
I mean,
not
look at
I have the competition.
Do you prescribe? Like if
I think if this is not done in this building, I think we could like do some internal arrangement and reduce the barriers to airflow within that building.
Yeah, maybe they're an extended family
This
and they can
could
talk to
happen.
each other.
This could happen.
Internally enraged. I mean, like, is someone paying for it? Like, I don't know.
30 seconds. Wait.
Right, the other group is almost there. The other group is almost there. How's it going with you?
I think
we
you're
have
ready?
we
come
have
to
it.
something.
Okay.
We have the rationale, and we'll use their drawings to say.
to explain it. It's teamwork, right?
Yeah.
This is completely you, by the way.
This is Minnesota.
This is you. I can imagine you saying that.
Native Californian flowers.
One thing is that, like, we put the vegetation. How maintainable are they?
That's not our goal. Wow. so arbitrary. Like this like potted plants.
Okay. How do I
Sensors like
Yes.
how do I
Make no sense.
no, yeah.
It's fine.
How do
We'll
I
just
send
be
you
like
notification?
sensor
I
here,
think you-
other
But-
white rooftops there.
What we're saying is that,
And you
like,
can use
materials
dual
and
zoom.
cover, we turn them white.
Yeah, so you can
Like
easily
those are
share it with
minimal
the photo.
intrusive
Stop sharing.
environments. We put some windows in some areas for circulation. And we can also mention the other things that are not here.
here.
Oh,
The white reflective
If you say
paint.
join.
Some of them they didn't have. I think it would be good to have the before and after
No, share the screens, right?
next to each other, no?
Share the screen.
what?
What?
It's already there.
That's scary.
I think because you are
Let's
within
see
the
if
MIT
Pietro is
from
watching
network
and
somehow because I have to.
That was quick.
Wow, that's finally technology.
Yeah.
Help us. It's very cool.
It's MIT technology for it.
Oh my god, look at those oxygen.
Simone, do you want to call Fabio or?
Yes.
So it's time to face the music.
Oh my god. Dude, Kevin Lynch.
Oh yeah. We need to hook this in so I can record.
Oh yeah.
That was a scary moment.
Yeah.
I wonder what that connects to. Is it my laptop? Like,
Your laptop
very
didn't like it.
Yeah, my laptop did not like that. I don't know. Attach this.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not
So, are you okay to present the main thing
It's
that
part of
I
building.
It's more open.
Sacrificing like a
So,
weird
I
chunk
was-
of each building
Seems like
Yeah.
for the sake of having these shafts inside. So that would be our minimum intervention, which would be building demolition, but just like a lot of tiny piece here, tiny piece here.
And I think also since we demolish
We have some
these
like-
parts,
No,
we need to
like
care about
logical
the surface
solutions,
of
but
the
we're not the
because we cut it,
designers.
so-
These are the
Yeah.
designers.
Don't worry.
But if we are
As I said at the
building
beginning,
it
there is no
up
grade
a
involved.
chimney,
No,
we're
of course. No, I'm
Like-
happy with where we're going. It
adding
just seems like very.
like
So-
those will be like a solid wall. It will
No,
hold
it's
up.
more like.
I think it's not
It's
necessarily
just
to be
empty.
completely solid. Otherwise,
Yeah.
More than the
I saw it just like an emptiness,
solution.
but maybe wait. So let me just.
I think you have
draw.
still 15, 20 minutes max.
Oh, okay.
Something together.
I think,
What am I drawing?
I think, what
Oh fuck.
I kind of feel like it's an outlier in this photo, so I kind of want to ignore it. But
That's good.
So we're having like this
so that's why
hole here.
I was like, I'm still thinking.
Do you want
about
it to like extrude more?
Are you still thinking about?
Yeah, I think
still-
that's how
I'm still thinking
cone
about
tower
it.
works. Because if without this tower,
I don't like. I
the
feel like
wind
we're
just
being
passes on
highly
the top, it
selective.
won't go down
Not
to
highly
this.
selective,
Okay,
but I
so
feel
we have like
are we
a
thinking too
something
much based on like
protruding
what we
out.
know?
yeah, it
Or should
captures,
we
it
be
goes
more
inside the
general?
chimney.
Um,
So you have these little like
solution?
in picking the
chimneys
places.
poking out every now and then.
Because
Like
right now our thinking
Maybe
is
I
like,
think
okay,
we can
main
do it quick.
arteries. Like we want like
I
Oh,
think
yeah.
it's
yeah, we
look
want
at
kind of
it,
want a
press some
baseline, so like we're
precedents,
putting one
study.
or
on
no,
each
maybe
artery,
we were just
and like at each corridor,
innovating.
and then
so
we're
for
also trying
these
to,
buildings,
because we also want to
basically
make it
those
a
coils-
we just have
those
some
coils
small
are
windows.
good if
inside, like-
Facing inwards, yeah.
Um,
Oh, so we're talking about like what is
Yeah,
maybe a different color.
So we are putting the airflow.
So like if this is a wall,
right.
this is a wall, this is a wall. Maybe like on this side we
what's
have.
happening outside in the corridor.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I mean.
So like we're probably gonna
Because
pick
the
one.
air,
Like,
in
it
general,
just
the air
flows,
is not,
it's just flowing.
the air is intelligent. Because the air goes where there is a friction.
Maybe continue to draw like all the walls.
They don't go where there's a lot of resistance.
this is
They don't go
wind
against
tower
the pressure.
in Dubai.
The transfer pressure.
It's just a wind tower.
When
That
when
the
parties
wind
forget
comes
about
in.
Dubai.
What is that for?
It just for cooling.
Very congested.
Like
This
the
was
wind
a
comes from the
big
top,
roll
and then
on,
you say
yeah, this is what the
then it's
airflow.
cold.
There's no
I
air
like
that
that.
will
I
do
like
this.
this.
Because there we take another road.
Yeah.
Because you have too much.
Okay, we need to start scanning drawings and putting them on a slide.
Each turn is.
Okay, so what drawing should I feel like we can do? Do you want to
You can
improve some
give
of these
the
drawings
air
and I
the,
put them?
let's say the channel
I feel like I can
smaller,
do that. I
then you
can
have
scan
more friction and
this
turbulence.
and delete and erase this.
Whenever
and
you
put
open it up,
on
you
the
get
white
turbulence.
thing on top.
For all these phenomena, they
I'm
are
not
not
gonna put like too
they are
much.
bringing more friction.
I think I
to
can
the airflow.
do. I can do
Post.
this.
The airflow will be.
Or do we want to redraw everything but like nicely? No, we don't have time to do it.
Wait, is
Don't
this
go
one
too
the
much.
same as this one?
Like, what is turbulence?
Can you sorta, but including the
sorta.
chimney.
Turbulence,
So this is like the
having
current
really,
state, and then we would include the chimney.
So basically,
And the chimney.
right?
Yeah.
This is, I think this is when Norman
This is
Foster did.
Oh.
channel. Okay.
Sorry, I'm so sorry. Cause I'm
Cool.
I don't know
So-
if we need to put this
If
much.
you have a
Huh?
channel,
Boy,
but
that's
it's-
big.
I
Okay.
think
Yeah.
this is a bit extra.
And then
Yeah,
out of
but
the
it's
southern,
attached
you
to
have
a
big.
building to cool the
the
whole
pipe
building.
or the airflow channel.
I don't know why they need
larger
such a big.
pipe.
big
This is
tower.
airflow, and
Yeah.
if you're gonna get some turbulence.
We got this,
Oh,
guys.
wait, we were thinking about to draw a table, and then probably like this is.
Oh, a chart. Okay.
Yeah, a chart.
Draw a table. Yeah, you're right.
That's the great.
And then, so probably one person draw the cluster, and one person draw the. Where's our?
Okay, we can have like independent drawings, and I can do the table on like a PowerPoint and just include the drawings.
Okay.
All right.
Narrow.
But wait.
What is going to happen if the airflow here you will start having problems, then all the flow will start to go here, and you will have a.
But ventilation and
So what happened if you
temperature reduction
What happened if you
are like tied, right?
A trick, yeah. This will be an
So let's just do like strategies. Just like a drawing per strategy. And then a master plan.
Yeah. Okay. I think you can draw master plan.
Yeah.
You did it really well.
Okay, let me open up my laptop.
Pretend. Okay.
What are you can draw?
I think I want to use that image and put the octopus, like an octopus logo on top of.
Okay.
And if you put the distance here, if you put it here, for example, then the apple will start doing something like that.
When do we need to present?
Now, like in 20 minutes.
So you have 15 minutes now to
15.
wrap it up.
Okay. We have. Okay, guys. Let's lock in.
So wait, this situation is happening.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, are you hand
So
drawing?
there's turtle.
Okay, then.
Yeah.
Do you need to talk about
I just wanna.
what area?
I took a picture of that. I'll just put octopus
Okay.
logos on top and then scan your drawings and put it. That's very, very fast.
Do we need to redraw this, or
So you
actually we
guys
can just
are
use it?
saying-
I think we can just use this, right?
This?
Or you think we need to redraw?
If you can try to make it a nicer drawing,
Nicer.
because it was. I feel like the idea
Okay, I can draw
get
this.
through, but.
Golden Tower. No, it's
You have no paper.
and a lot of places slick and medieval, like the ancient technology where you just have like this tower that the air goes in and down, travels down, so like it keeps it cool. It keeps it lower level cool, but it just kind of like it's like a wind capture.
Oh.
Do you have?
I'm trying to like do some videos and place the sensors.
Alright, let's do this.
You drew?
No, I I'm saying like to illustrate like where the corridors are,
I need a beautiful octopus symbol.
where to put the sensors.
Oh wow, it's perception of where the shoots are.
This is not helpful, but
I think assuming like this is and assuming from like
Oh guys, I don't have food at home.
there's
I
gonna be a
gotta
lot
go
of
to
fields
Can get pizza. Probably get grab
I can
something.
take like an entire box of pizza.
it's having like a more smoother path. So it's getting like less hot here.
Bring some foods back.
And then you're saying this one is,
I think the same case scenario for here,
Whoa.
having some kind of ventilation, so it's like, instead of just like this rough stop, there's something that like allows some more to go through. I think the easy other solution would just be like, fix the color, change the color,
yeah, and then I feel like because we will be able to have an argument.
yeah. Also for like the building over this thing, you can also say we want to put ventilation, so again, air is able to travel. more through the building.
Yeah. But I'm thinking for the sensor, maybe we could do the building right next to this one, like
Yeah.
top floor. Because I don't know if this thing even has a lower floor. And it seems too dark too. It also seems a little too dark.
Yeah. When it's too dark, also there's a like there's some people that have
Maybe.
Because it looks like on the bottom, like that one house looks like
Yeah.
like water.
Yeah.
So basically, that could be the light coverings where we like make sure we have like water resistant.
Yeah, that makes sense for that house. I think also the buildings, like the taller floors on this part, like up here, we could do like some kind of vegetation on the walls, or some there.
So
I feel like. Yeah. You can keep cleaning. No, I just. Damn it. Because I'm thinking.
No, not yet. I'm trying to find an octopus symbol. Octopus PNG.
Okay, so we want.
Let's do the main arteries.
So sensor, what, by the tree?
Next to the tree. I don't know. Next to the tree. Do you want to be under the tree? Because like under the tree it's obvious. I mean, unless you make the argument, I'm gonna put one on the same spot like every tree.
I don't think there's gonna be a problem with the tree, unless we look like, it's probably gonna be better than the areas like.
but it's the only reason maybe like you can show with the data how much better it is.
Okay, that's
Right.
And you can make it so, like more people
There's
would be
someone right
interested to actually
Have
have
a
a
tree.
tree
Yeah.
or green options.
Yeah.
One in the courtyard.
So I asked Dr. Brown to do like the things he's doing with make them white.
That's
And
so
put-
funny.
and put some green.
Yeah, I think we really need like the barbecue things, that would be good.
How's it going?
But also like
Pretty good.
Oh, black roof.
I've had an
things
octopus.
that turn into white.
Octopi.
And the bricks.
Mortar.
Oh, much better, thank you.
So I think one in the longer alleyway,
You have to go.
Okay, guys. Wait.
where's the alley? So
Here's our octopus.
yeah.
So cute.
And then we were wanting like an upper floor one.
I mean, if we're honestly, I feel like if for the temperature that the sunlight that you're talking about, honestly, if we add two over here or like some over here, then we can just compare these two, and we won't need this one because this one will be checking upper floor and lower floor. Unless we want one.
So let's put one. Not the building over it, but.
That's enough.
Use it with here.
For this part,
Keep it simple, and then I can include the octopus symbol on computer.
And then the dark hyperlinks.
I'll draw the ring.
I'm like
corridor.
Got it.
we should
Perfect.
take more than
Oh,
just
nice.
this.
That looks like my first semester isometric views.
Yeah, I see career.
I'm using my, so, no, it's fine, like, I think what's missing in that are things that promote airflow. I think we take care of the heat with the reflective.
Well, we talked about airflow, like opening up, like reducing the friction of airflow by like working on like this, like some airflow thing right here.
What's the solution for that?
Either ventilation opening or cooling
This?
tower.
Oh,
Cause this is a building right there. And also like,
Maybe we could just do.
We could just pick another building that's cause like the ones over there are like white tops, right? So maybe we can pick one over here that's a black top.
But I think the scale of the
But-
chimney
but
is too
then-
drastic.
They need it, okay, I guess they're the same material.
So
but
one
they're
head down.
both brick, right? So let's just do the,
本来就比较
preferably
清楚
some。 brick white and then brick black. And then an entirely different material, but I don't see.
I think that there's a black building for that building. But I think this is a good one.
Okay.
And I think for solution wise,
Like black brick, same height. And then this is also both upper and lower. Oh, I don't know, this is a mess. Sorry.
if you tell me where placement of some things that can put them with, where were you thinking of the air?
So these two are these are for sure pretty firm.
These are sensors,
Yeah, they're all
but
sensors.
where would we put the, you said for the airflow?
so airflow, there's a building going over the streets.
Which one, here? Okay, yeah.
If your airflow